the station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Ah, there it is. You tuned into the Farron Dozier Show on nbradio.us, TikTok edition, and Live Sports. Catch me here Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, only on nbradio.us. Shout out. How'd I do? Was that a good take? That might be. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. You know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait, there's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes. In moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
All right, good afternoon. Can y'all hear me out there? Is everything good out there? I appreciate y'all for listening in. This is French Talk Edition right here on mbradio.us. I want to thank you for listening today. We have a full show for you today. I'm blessed to have an opportunity to have some conversations that are important, especially to me, dealing with the mental health, mental toughness aspect of life, transition out of the military. However, we care about causes as well. So I'm an advocate for not just sickle cell trait, as you saw in the PSA, or for veteran suicide, but there are other conversations in the world like lupus, chronic illnesses like sickle cell disease. And so I have someone that's going to help me deliver some of those conversations today. Also, it is a veteran platform, so we got some veterans here. So with the variety of shows on MBR, we got some. I got two guests that are actually have a show on MBR Radio as well. So just having a great time today. Thanks for listening in. If you want more information, again, go to wdconsct.org for your sickle cell trait talk. If you want to find out what I'm up to in the community, you can go to farrond.com as well, or on Instagram at Farron Dozier if you want to be a guest on the show here. Just want to cover some things this past week. I had an opportunity to speak at church at the Ministry of Reconciliation, my main church, and there's the topic that we had this quarter was about revelations, right? And I've grown up in church, and a lot of times the revelation talk was a scary, it's like it almost scares you straight to be a Christian for what those times talk about. But during the lessons, I was struggling because as they were talking about Christ is coming back for his bride, right? And so I'm listening to that from a perspective of relationship, men and women, husband, wife, bride, and being divorced. It was like, I don't want to hear nothing about no marriage talk. That was just being blocked out, right? And so I brought it up, to church on the Bible study, and they were like, Farron, it's a different context. You got to catch that in the spirit. It's a whole parable and things like that it refers to. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go and meditate on that and take a look and see what I get for myself. And so that last week I started to studying and praying and asking the Holy Spirit to like, okay, what am I missing here? And let me tell you, I got it. What I got is one of the things I listened to was Tony Evans. My mom turned me on to him a while back, and he had a conversation in James 3 talking about the horses and the bits that are in their mouth and how they're controlled by the bridle is like self is control. And so I'm listening, and all of a sudden, out of all the stuff I had been meditating on that week, I heard it finally for myself that the bride that Christ is coming back for is a particular kind of people, right? And so I looked at it like, okay, what is that? What does that mean? And so when I looked it up for myself, I saw that he's coming back from what I've heard before in conversations, people who are set apart, people who are pure in heart, people who are mature in faith, and people who are disciplined in speech. And when I'm like, oh, the bride is not the wedding bride, it's the particular kind of people. And so I got revelation for myself. I understood the passage more. And I actually found a lot of peace in that conversation around revelation. And so if you want, to find out more about that, the scripture that I learned that from is James 3. And the way that the bride and the bit and the self-control came into play is because the power of our tongue and how you talk. If you really pay attention how you talk and the words that you use, sometimes our own language is our own trap. Sometimes how we talk. They say that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And if you believe that, that's true. Just listen to how you talk to yourself. Listen to how we talk to one another. And so when I got that revelation for that passage, I got my understanding about revelations. And so to be able to now, apply that to my life and apply that what it looks like, I have already been being that person because I've learned to take responsibility for my language, what I talk, what I say. And in the spiritual context, that is really most important because it's how you treat, how you talk to one another is very important. So that's, from that aspect of my spiritual journey this week, I really had a good time. So I delivered that message at church. And from what I was told, it did land because I said, what are you filtering your life through? Are you filtering what you say to yourself and about life through the world, or are you saying things through what the word has to say? And you have a choice, right? And those worlds are two different worlds. And sometimes we try to use the spiritual context in the world and it doesn't align because it has a totally different meaning in the spirit. So again, thank you for listening and tuning in. I'm gonna bring up the guests because we're gonna have a particular kind of conversation. So I'm gonna start with my guy Big Dre.
Hey,
What's happening, Big Dre?
Hey, I'm doing it, man. Thank you again for you,
Man.
Mr. Dozier.
Man. Thank you for hanging out, man.
Always, man. That's always humble, man. We had technical difficulty before the show, but the king is always there, man.
He was having technical difficulties.
Yeah, he was the dude next to it. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
See,
but,
look, he froze already. No, but man, thank you.
Yeah, we had a great week. Y'all, for those who don't understand, if you're living in California, we got a spot June 21st that we're going to be doing a live broadcast from. It's called Hammer and Nails, 12121 West Olympic Street in Los Angeles, a block from Bunny Drive. Yeah, beer gonna be late. It's the man cave for men, ladies and gentlemen. So you bring out your family. It's gonna be family day, members only day. We're gonna do our show live, man. But first of all, I give my thanks to all our veterans, men and women that's fighting in this country, the ones who have gave their lives and everything else. And our guest is coming on today, Mr. Gary. Gary had a phenomenal story. Yeah. And it's gonna be a great show, man. I can't wait to watch Amanda and my country boy from North Carolina. You know what I mean? North Carolina, South Carolina.
They gonna get you. They gonna get you. You keep on.
South Carolina, you know what I mean? I can't wait to talk to the fellas, men talk. But it's a great show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it started.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's bring up Amanda first. What's up, lady?
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm okay. It's hot today, so just trying to stay cool.
It is. Thank you for accepting the invitation to hang out with us today. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
We're not strangers. She's me and her been hanging out with some conversations for
she's a sports manager. She's a sports manager. We love sports managers.
Yeah. And I'm a big supporter of veterans too. So thank you for your service.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for paying your taxes.
Pay them taxes. You know what I mean? And your lovely dog too. He's your master.
Oh, thank you.
Master,
there you go.
He's chilling right now. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm laying it. So boom. But I'm gonna tell you something real fast.
Go ahead.
My sisters both passed away from lupus, and my oldest sister and my sister Darlene, she passed away about a year after my mom passed away. A year later, she just waited for my mother to transition, and she said, now that she was gone, it's her turn. So we lost her back in 2015, 6 months after my mom died in 2014. And my oldest sister Shirley been dead since 94. A lupus got her, So it had the same thing, a sickle cell trait also. I know it's in my family history, but I'm a big time advocate of it too. And I support any kind of things we got going on. So definitely I can't wait to see what Amanda have to say when she's doing her stuff and everything, her transition.
Sure.
Thank you. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's bring up Gary real quick. Gary, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm here. I'm getting better, man,
Yeah.
On the West Coast, making dreams come true.
Yeah.
But hey, I want to shout out to all the veterans. Hey, what I like about what I see in veterans is that you don't hear a lot of stories of veterans going berserk and doing crazy things, shooting up people with the PTSD.
Yeah.
That you don't hear anything negative about veterans, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think because we're strong in so many ways and from the trainings we had, and we just got to keep up that good mindset.
Yes.
And also, I'm gonna do some more research. But sickle cell traits and all that, I heard a little bit of something yesterday. It was real quick because I'm frequency. I'm all about tuning that frequency.
Right.
And what I'm understanding about sickle cell, and I got to go more into it before I can really speak on it. But you guys know how to Google and stuff too. It's a frequency, a positive frequency that God has given us, the people who have that. So it's something special that you have, but you got to know how to operate it from within.
Exactly.
But that frequency is so powerful.
I appreciate you saying that because to touch on that as an advocate for sickle cell disease has its own conversation. But again, I hear no different than veterans, right? That sometimes I said how we talk, and sometimes I hear my community talk about their illness like it's outside of them. like it's like it's outside of them, but it's a part of your DNA, right?
Exactly.
And
it is.
If you're born with that gene, then like you said, there is a purpose for that, and you got to tap in to figure out what that purpose is
and turn it into a positive.
Exactly. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I love that man right there, Gary, because he always.
Me and Dre,
right. We go way back.
Hey, God's been good to us. Back with me and Dre, my son was just a baby. What, 3, 4?
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
Me and Dre, we
and now you're a grown man, 21 years old. You're a grown man now.
Right. You got to see him today. Yeah. I told him when he go meet you today to let him see his muscles.
He got.
And he said, "No, I ain't letting Dre see my muscles."
Yeah. I saw a pre-cut of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You did? Yeah. Okay.
So you got Amanda. We got an athlete waiting for Amanda. You go sign him, athlete. All that stuff. So it's a beautiful sight.
Let me bring up the two more guests, and then we're gonna get this conversation started. All right, gentlemen, how are you?
What's up? What's going on, everybody? How y'all feeling?
All right.
Representing.
North Carolina in the house.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Take your shirt off.
South Carolina.
That's right.
I could easily send them into the waiting room, y'all. Just let me know when you had enough. I can
Amanda, sick that dog on. No, brothers and dogs. Get them.
Right. No, this part of it, man. Everybody getting together, chopping it up, having fun. And man, it's good, man. We appreciate y'all bringing us in on y'all show, man, from the West Coast. And yeah. Thanks for the invite.
And
I heard y'all talking. I heard y'all talking about the sickle cell too.
Oh yeah.
And one of my oldest daughters, she has like the SC. Farron probably know more about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's 3 kinds. I forgot. No, one is the SS.
There's the SS, SC, SD. There's a bunch of different conversations. In our community, we have about 4 or 5 that we express in our community, but there's thousands. Yeah, there's different types of sickle cell, but SC is one of those for sure.
Yeah. So
no doubt.
So
thank you.
Pretty good topic. Yeah. So like I say, she's older now. She's about 26. And she's doing well, but she has that form, I guess, is the SC, the form that cause I think it's a certain form that there are people are kind of frail, but she doesn't have that, so you couldn't tell that she has it, Do
you know who has the S and who has the C?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Hey, because that was I know y'all said something about the X's earlier, so there was an
X. We'll leave that for the man talk then. We'll leave that for the man talk.
He's out. He's safe.
So I want to start off with Amanda to just kind of have a conversation. I want you to do me a favor, introduce yourself to the listeners, and then we'll just have a conversation with you.
Excuse me, I'm really shy. My name's Amanda Ishii. I'm the CEO and founder of Kaizen Sports Management. I'm also a cancer survivor of colon cancer. I also was diagnosed with lupus 2012, I believe. And yeah, I coach basketball. I love everything basketball. I'm trying to create a global market and network. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And my service dog, Tamashi's with me too.
I love
it. It is Lupus Awareness Month, and so I definitely want to touch on that. Like I said, we're not strangers, but what do you want people to know about lupus as a conversation?
I want people to know that it's like everyone, when they find out I have lupus, they just automatically refer to Selena Gomez. And I want people to remember, she has a lot of rich, she has like a lot of wealth and fame. So she has a lot more resources than someone like me who, it's not as easy. And also it's a big mental health hurdle as well. It affects mental health greatly because people look at you and they think you're okay. You don't look sick, but it's very physically burdening on me. I get tired a lot. The pain is really bad too, and I get rashes. Sometimes my heart gets attacked by the lupus. My lungs get attacked. Right now, my kidneys are being affected by it. So, yeah, it comes with a lot of burden. But when people first look at me, they don't really think there's anything wrong. But yeah, I have a lot of health conditions going on though.
Yeah, thank you. We talked, you and I talked offline, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear that your basketball career may take a turn for the good. What's going on with that opportunity to continue your basketball, that chasing hoop dream conversation we had?
Well, I don't want to get my hopes up or say too much, but because I'm still, trying to get things going and trying to get things established.
Okay.
But I recently did a media shoot with Rui Hachimura from the Lakers.
Okay.
And so I've been in talks with his team. I work directly with Wasserman Group, so as an independent contractor. So a lot of times there's projects for media shoots where they need a location or a facility for basketball. So because I know so many facilities in LA and California, and I'm so well connected with the basketball community and just different people in this industry, they always reach out to me. And I'm going to be teaming up with a facility in LA this summer, and we're going to be hosting some international professional teams out here and do some scrimmages. I'm going to have Phil Handy come in and help out with me, so I'm really excited.
And what about
I got to clap on that.
Thank you.
What about your personal basketball journey? Can you allowed to talk? Can you say something about that?
Oh, yeah. So I thought you were talking about the other one. So I did meet someone at a coaching conference for Nike, and he is a coach for wheelchair basketball. And I shared with him my story and how I told him I had to retire from basketball because after the cancer and like the Crohn's disease, and I had 12 surgeries, I now have a permanent ileostomy bag. So because I have such a short amount of my intestine left, it's too dangerous to play basketball because, one wrong move and someone hits it, then that's it. I'm done. I don't have it anymore, and I'm going to have to live on tubes the rest of my life. So I love basketball so much. I was like thinking, like, what can I do so I can still play and be active and, be around the game I love instead of on the sideline. And then I discovered wheelchair basketball, and so I tried it out for a day with him, and it was so hard. It really humbled me. All those years of me playing, even overseas for a short season, I thought, oh, I got this, but it's very hard. And I have so much more respect for those players, and I'm excited to start that journey. So,
all right.
Yeah, we'll see.
What about coaching? You thought about head coaching? You thought about coaching?
I'm taking a break because I was coaching a lot of local leagues here in LA, and I wasn't getting the respect I felt like I deserved from players, and it just wasn't I hate to say this, but it was ruining the game I love. It started to become more about money and the attitudes and just people not working hard, and it just goes against everything I believe in and what I stand for. And so I just, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to stick to the pro level.
There you go.
And I appreciate you for saying that, because my chasing hoop dream is still connected to basketball. Only the ABA, we got 3 ABA teams now. And so I can definitely relate to you as far as how do we stay connected to that game of basketball. I really appreciate you for saying that. Anybody have any questions before I move? I just want to get somebody opportunity. Anybody have any questions?
No, we good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other conversations that we're going to get into is around mental health, and you kind of said it earlier in your topic. I posted a flyer that had complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and it had about 20 different things on there, and one of them is I feel like I'm a burden, right? And so when I look at even myself after my transition out of the service, and not taking on the label as a disabled veteran, but also have to be responsible for that because I do have some injuries. sometimes you do feel like you're a burden on people. Sometimes I had to learn that if I ask for help and the person says no, like I have to allow them to say yes or no. I can't think that if I say ask for help, everybody's gonna say yes. And a lot of times we make that no mean something about us, right? And if that happens when we're children, how do you think that plays out when we become adults, wanting to ask for support and help? And so Amanda responded to that one about the burden. I'm like, hey, can you come on and share that? Because I really believe a lot of people may deal with this aspect of life that we don't talk about, or we don't know how to talk about it, or afraid to even say that, hey, this is how I feel, like a burden. And when I listen to my sickle cell community, same thing. It's like I hear people say, oh, I don't have any support, I don't have this, I don't have that. But then when you talk to them more, you hear, well, you don't even ask for help. But why don't you ask for help? And it's because I've been told no so many times in the past that that no is in the future, and now you feel like you're by yourself. And so I wanted you, Amanda, to kind of share that experience for yourself around that burden conversation.
Yeah, so for me, I come from an Asian background. So if you know anything about Asians, we're very prideful and we never talk about emotions. We don't ask for help. We just kind of figure it out. So there's that background that is contributing to me being that way. And also, I was diagnosed in 2016, so I was only 26 years old. But I was diagnosed with lupus before that, and I had Crohn's. But when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was 2016 after surgery. But they did remove it during surgery. So my experience wasn't too bad with that. But when you're so young and you're diagnosed with an illness like that, especially having a bag, it's like, who can you relate to? Because in the doctor's office, there's no pamphlet or anything telling you what your life will be like. It's just when you open a pamphlet, it's just directions how to change it. And everyone in the pamphlet was like old people. There's like no one young. So I had no one to relate to. And I was in the hospital majority of my 20s. So I missed out on a lot of things. And a lot of my friends didn't understand what I was going through. And I didn't get a lot of visits. I didn't get people like, trying to include me, like FaceTiming while they're out, and that's something I would have done for them. But I just felt like a burden because it was like, I don't want to ask, because then I feel ashamed. But then at the same time, I was angry and resentful because it's like, why aren't they asking me? So it was like a catch-22, and and especially with family too, like I had a rough childhood and I got shut down a lot if I asked for help. So like what Farron was saying, that affects me a lot too in my adult years. It's very intimidating for me to ask for help because I'm just so used to like having to figure it out on my own. And there's been times where I needed to go to the hospital for emergency and I would just take an Uber instead of asking someone to drive me.
Yeah, no, thank you again. Thank you for that, because I just want people to hear the different aspects of life and how important it is, because we're social beings and we want to be with people. We want family around us, but sometimes those experiences, we think we're protecting ourselves. At the same time, we're also hurting ourselves. And then what do we do after that? Or who do we become after that? Not just what we do, but who we get to be in those situations. And so I appreciate you, for saying that. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so that is something that we wanted to touch on as well, especially from a woman's perspective of what that looks like. So,
that's deep. Yeah, that's really deep. A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people don't express it. Like the way you're doing it to us, or letting us know about it. So they, like I said, that's really deep though.
Yeah, it is. Also, let me ask you this: after going through all of that, how does it affect you, like now in your life now? Do you still? What's the effects of it?
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's very hard because people forget that if you're gonna be in the hospital that many times in that long of a period, like bad things will happen, you know, the chances of that happening, like your interaction with nurses or doctors. So it wasn't like I was in the hospital just laying in bed, like just smooth sailing. Like I went through a lot of trauma in there, and I was even assaulted once by a male nurse. And after that, I just never felt safe with male nurses, you know, because when you're that vulnerable, it's hard. And even now as an adult, I still struggle with relating to people because, you know, it's like, who can I find that can understand this, you know? And the truth is no one really can unless they're in my shoes. And that's something I have to accept. But at the same time, it's like an everyday burden that I have to carry. And it's something I'm still navigating. I'm in therapy and I'm learning how to communicate better and open up to people.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That's a tough pill to swallow, man. That's a lot.
Yeah. Especially when you're running your own business, you know, and like you're a coach, you're managing all these players. It's a lot, and no one ever stops to like, you know, remind themselves like, oh, she's going through a lot. Because I get, my phone goes crazy, you know, people contacting me, demanding things, and I'm like, I need to rest. Like, give me a break. So having boundaries helps. Putting up boundaries definitely helps.
Yeah, like you said, with the phone calls and everybody coming at you, that's that's stressing within itself, you know.
Definitely.
Just keep it positive like you are. That's what's going to keep you going.
Yeah,
you know, that positive energy. I commend you for that.
You ain't lying. You my Shiro.
Right.
I'm just you like, man, I'm about to cry over here, man. I can cry. I can cry. I got
you can cry. You good. You good.
Right,
you good.
Right. I know how to lose my friend a lot. Like I said, losing my sister Lupus. What you going through? I tell everybody, man, stress that when it comes to colon exams. I got my schedule in 2 weeks. My second one, I don't play with that, man. My son just had a colon cancer scare, and he's only 38 years old.
Wow.
They found something and removed it, and he's happy. Now I'm going myself with my second one. You just don't know. You can walk around there smiling and think you're the healthiest person. Before you know it, boom. And you're intensive care too. It's called common. So you had a dream, but don't let the other fool you. To like he said earlier about putting things out of the atmosphere was what you say. Your mouth is dangerous. God tells you every time. This is the weapon.
Yes, sir.
You gotta be careful. So God got a mission for you, girl. I don't think he don't. I can see in your eyes. He got a mission for you.
She's legit. She's legit.
Oh,
she's modest right now, but she's legit out there.
She's legit, man.
Right.
I need that number of contact. We own an arena out in Dayton, Ohio. We have a basketball arena out on Twin Echo. It's called the Flight Academy in Dayton, Ohio. So
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's owned by Chris Wright. He played NBA ball. And we own 20% of that. So my team do. So the Fantastic. So we always looking for something new out there. Always.
We definitely gotta talk because I have clients all over, and I'm trying to expand my network to the East Coast.
Let's do it.
East Coast basketball and Midwest basketball is so different from West Coast.
You little crybaby LA. Come on,
I like it better. I like it better. When I was in New York for the NBA draft a couple of years ago, I played some pickup ball out in Harlem, and I was like, I love this game over here. Everyone plays hard and aggressive. Over here, they cry about everything.
Break a nail. Oh, God, I got the line. I broke a nail.
Call the foul, ref. Call the foul, ref. Call the foul.
Yeah.
I know.
Right?
That's what I don't like about the game.
Man.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about the game.
What are you doing? Stop looking at the refs. Just hurry up and get back on defense.
What do you call I was joking, have an inside joke in the locker room. What do they call NBA ball now? 3-pointer.
Oh my gosh.
All they do is shoot 3-pointers. That's it.
It's only 3 points and dunking. That's it. No one plays defense. No one's boxing out.
No boxing out. No fundamentals.
So here's a big question for you, Amanda. You're the female GOAT in basketball history. Who the GOAT? All-time GOAT in basketball. And you better not say LeBron James.
Never.
You better not say LeBron.
Never. That's
Thank you. Thank
who
you.
Who is the GOAT?
I'm tougher than LeBron.
Thank you.
Okay. For me, my GOAT is Kobe, but MJ is the GOAT, and then Kobe's Black Mamba. But the way I played basketball and the way I grew up studying basketball was Kobe mostly. So I would say
thank you.
MJ's a goat.
It's like disagreeing.
That's that generation. That's why that's that generation. So
the men are disagreeing down there.
Hey, you know we got to stay in North Carolina, right?
Yes, enjoy it, MJ. I know.
But you know what though? I did have the luxury of growing up. I saw first I saw Dr. J, right?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, it won't be nobody else. And then came Jordan. And then I'm like, then I said, well, ain't gonna be nobody else. And then here comes Kobe. So I kind of go in that, that arena like that.
Yeah. And
then
how I
it
look
stopped.
at it. Thank you. Not I'm for the retire, but my son got to play one season with me. Come on now. Saying King Griffey and Chris Griffey Sr. I got to play my no picking 85th in the draft.
Oh, come on.
And he played ball. I mean, come on, man. I know we disrespect to Bronny, but
he got him a job. He got him a job.
Yeah, he got him a job. But the baby brother better than the older brother. So it's no big difference.
Right? Right?
So, yeah.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
I'm like, I asked Jordan one time, we were smoking cigars with Jordan, and we was in Miami. I said, man, how did you say a man he to go when Kareem had 4 years of college and all time? He had no years of college all time. He should have had 50,000 points. He shot the ball 100 times a game. He's supposed to have that. Exactly. And we know for a fact Kobe be all-time leading scorer now. If Kobe's still alive, he would have still played, but he said every time to let it go. He wasn't selfish. 20 years, I'm out. Not 22 years.
Exactly.
But for me in LeBron's defense, I always said this right here. Kobe is the closest thing to Jordan, but LeBron, he's the more athletic Magic Johnson.
Okay.
But I think the reason why a lot of people compare him and they put him and Jordan together against each other because everybody growing up, they wanted to wear that 23. And that's what LeBron, he wanted 23 coming in high school and coming out right. But really LeBron is Magic Johnson.
Yeah. Thank you. He'll pass it. Right. He decent on free throws. He'll pass it.
He's a better jump shooter than Magic was, So I put him in the arena with Magic.
Okay. Okay. That's a big joke. I've heard like that. So
but a lot of people they don't for some reason they don't do that. They always pit him against Jordan, right? Mike. Yeah. But I would say Jordan and Kobe, and then I would take LeBron. I would say his game is more catered toward Magic.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
Yeah. So
because they don't really compare Magic to anybody compared to Magic nowadays.
Nobody.
They don't.
Damn, man. That's cold brother. He'll compare to nobody.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That is. That was good.
Well, I picked OKC and the Knicks to the finals. I pick it for some reason. I don't know why.
Don't do that.
I have
OKC and the Knicks.
I had to give the Knicks a chance, man. I mean, give a chance. They won in 72, 73, man. Give them something.
How many years they've been rebuilding long enough? They should be. They've been rebuilding for years.
Well, Spike Lee's the owner of the Knicks. That's why they can't win that. Like he tell them, him and Stephen F. Smith is the owners of the Knicks. That's what it is, man. It's all chemistry, man. So that's who I picked, man, in the finals. But I think OCG gonna win it all. I don't think.
I think Indiana.
I think Indiana too.
I don't know, man. Because they may. Yeah, I mean, but they total. They got total.
They sneaky.
Yeah.
You watch out for those sneaky ones. Don't get it wrong.
We say underrated. Underrated.
But Lakers next year. Lakers back next year.
Bye, man. Let me turn his mic off. Right now.
Put him in timeout.
You going to the waiting room.
Never again.
I always say this: the Lakers don't have a chance until they can find a coach that won't kiss LeBron's butt.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Then they will finally get where they need to be. But until they can achieve that, it's. I mean, look what's happened.
It's not true. What about an owner who won't sleep with nobody? An owner who won't sleep with all the guys?
You know what?
I didn't say that, GD Plus.
On that note, we're going to take a station identification break. This is the Farron Dozier Show, Trench Talk Edition, Life Choice Sports. Amanda, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You're more than welcome to stay and hang out as much as you can take.
Yes.
I like it.
All right. We'll be right back.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Zetovia salve, made from natural and organic ingredients, good for inflammation, poor circulation, hemorrhoids, yeast infection, lip sores, dry coughs, eye pain, minor cuts and bruises, and ready to purchase at botanicaherbalco.com. 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 Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org. Tune in to the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Brought to you by Sports Collective TV, Sports Collective Radio, and Sports Collective Media. We got the Heme Factor, we got In the Zone, and we got Fourth Down and the 20-second Timeout Sports segment. All for you right here on the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website with my guest hosts Robert Lamar and Coach Will. Catch us on Sports Collective Media on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure you watch us Sunday nights at 8 p.m. on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, also streaming from the KCARadio.com website. Music, talk, sports, and so much more. The Farron Dozier Show.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
I had to play that for Dre, just so y'all know we don't get in no trouble over here.
My bad, man. I couldn't help but sleep with somebody. I did it back in my day. I was the head coach. I did it back in my day. I apologize.
You know what? Anyways. All right, let me bring everybody back.
Amanda said, "Oh my God, yo, man." I told you I'm like a pickle without the juice, man, in this group. I'm not defending nobody. I'm telling it like it is, man. Shoot.
Right.
Don't sleep with them.
Exactly. Don't do it. Hey, Gary, I see you back there, Gary. Your phone is if you can correct your phone before I bring you up, Gary. I just see your phone is sideways. But
yeah, Amanda, I sent you my stuff in the comments for the audience. I sent you everything on me.
Okay.
So you got it.
I look forward to it.
Definitely.
So my counterparts here on MB Radio, MenTalk. Gentlemen, please introduce yourself. Your brothers.
Hey, I'm Shaw.
And I'm Daryl.
Yeah.
Go ahead on, bro.
Give us some background of your show that's on the platform.
Well, MenTalk is kind of it basically came from, we started with like Zoom. We wanted to have like a safe space for men to come in and just talk, and they didn't accept it. So we went to the people. So we went to the men and we started on YouTube and Zoom and all of that. And now we on the radio show. So it's basically we do a lot of different topics, like we fell in prison systems. And
good one, pseudo.
Oh, yeah. Child support.
All kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's a barber shop talk, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So kind of keep some stuff going. That's all.
Yeah. And like I said, my name is Daryl, and I'm glad y'all, appreciate y'all, inviting us on the platform.
Yeah.
And like what my brother was saying, we first started off like I said, on Zoom in a safe space. We weren't going to record or anything. We were just going to get a bunch of guys. He had a lot of guys in his area that want to join, right? And then I guess, guys, how they do, they fall away or whatever, won't tapping in or whatever. So my brother said, hey, bro, hey, man, the people won't come to us. He said, God said, let's go to the people. So that's when we started Zooming and recording. And then we went from there, and started doing on YouTube. So, took off from there.
I appreciate that because there's some conversations that you want to have without the cameras. So people, you would think that would be the environment so they could have the safe space to have a conversation.
Right.
But some people, even in that, they still don't want to have those talks.
Still don't want it. And that's the issue with some men. They don't want to open up.
Yeah.
And that causes issues, in their relationships, even with their kids. You can't open up to your kids. So, I mean, now it goes through this cycle. Now the kids don't open up to their kids, and now you got a bunch of angry people. That's the kind of way I look at it,
That's
right. And the funny thing about that too, man, is like a lot of times we have, whether who guys my brother may work with or some guys I may know, a lot of times they the ones want to come to the platform, but then when we form the platform, they
don't show up.
They chicken out or don't show up. So,
I got you.
Yeah. So basically, just me and him, we just said we'll just go. We just tag team and go for it.
Yeah.
So this is a military platform. Who's the service member or the connection?
I'm Air Force.
Air Force.
I'm a Marine. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a Marine.
So hoorah!
Yeah.
There you go.
He the intelligent one. Air Force intelligent people.
Yeah. Say that part again. They didn't hear you.
He ain't said nothing. He ain't said.
I ain't said nothing, man.
He ain't said.
And I always shout my brother out. He's the young. I'm the oldest. Of the family, brothers or whatever. But I shout him out because he asked me, to come on board with him, right? And so I said, man, I'll do it with you, man. I'll come on and talk with chop it up with you, and he's the kind of like the the brains of it. He's more the tech savvy, and I'm kind of the I'll talk, but I'm just like when it comes to tech savvy, he kind of dabble in all of that. You know what I'm saying? So, so I always call him the brains of the operation, but he always say, it's ours, it's ours together. But but he pretty much, is the brains, of all of it. So I just joined in, tapped in with him, man, and for me, man, it's therapeutic for me, when I get to chop it up every week, No
doubt. That's kind of why I got here, living in the future of those podcasts. Well, back then it was internet radio in 2009. It wasn't podcast, it was internet radio. Living into those next week episodes kept me alive, man. It was like, okay, you interrupt that willingness to die, there's a space that can be filled with, and when you gotta find that what's next as us veterans. Turned into a passion and to be here. What had you join the Marines?
Well, I guess when I was coming out of high school, it was a lot of guys around our way, they was Army or either Navy. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to do something different. Even back then I was a little smaller, but I wanted to do something different. So I saw the blood stripes, how the recruiters do.
Oh yeah.
They come out, see the blood stripes with the white hat on, dress blues or whatever. So they got me, man.
All the time.
They got me, man.
You a man yet, boy?
Yeah. They got me, man. So and that's why I joined, man. So then I went to PI, Paris Island for basic.
Okay.
Then I went to school of infantry at Camp Lejeune, Camp Geiger.
Okay.
And then after I left Geiger, I went to Fast Company in Norfolk, Virginia. We're dealing with sea duty and all this stuff like that. Before I did 2 years up there at the Norfolk Naval Base. Then I came back to Camp Lejeune and finished up my last 2 years up there. So I ain't do but 4 years. They tried to get me to sign. I was like, nah.
4 and out, huh? 4 and out.
Got out the end of 91. Yeah,
hey, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And for you, sir, the Air Force, you saw his Marine experience was like, nah, I'm good with that one.
Well, let me tell you this story.
Like, nah, we ain't going that way.
I try to tell the people that men is okay to fail, right? I tried the Marine Corps. I couldn't swim.
Oh.
So then I went to the Air Force, and that was, where I found my spot. Yeah, that was my spot. So, information manager.
We swim like each other. I swim like a Chevy truck, like a rock. Or like a rock.
Straight to the bottom.
Straight to the bottom.
Amanda, what you hear now? Black people can't swim.
They cannot swim, man.
It is not a myth.
They can't swim.
Hey, I told him, brother, don't let it bother you, man. Cause look, I won't no bona fide swim either. I did like the least qualification was like 5 minutes swimming on your back, and that's all I did.
Yeah,
got out.
What Daryl about the pool? What Daryl hate about the pool?
I would have had a heart attack.
Yeah, boy. So I found my way in the Air Force, and I went out to naturally Lackland, then up to Keesler, and then back down to Port. Yeah. Yeah. So that was my story, man. I was an office guy, which I enjoyed because when it's raining and cold and they're out there exercising, I'm always looking at them. So I enjoyed that part of it.
I always tell them, see, I was the crash dummy. I went out. They learned from me.
That
was a good thing. That was a good thing. You got it all out the way early.
Yeah, because see what it was with me, my recruiter got me. You know what I mean? So. And see, because I back in the days when I was in school, high school students could drive a school bus. I don't know how they did it in Cali.
Yeah, exactly.
But over here, high school students could actually drive school buses. So when I got ready to go in, my recruiter was like, yeah, man, I got you. Come on in or whatever. So I said, listen, I wanted to go in motor T because I was driving a school bus or either supply. He was like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. You're not decided yet, right?" He said, "When you get the basic training, he said they're gonna give you'll be the major mind up." Man,
open contract. Gary, that's all for me though, Gary.
Right? He got me with the open contract, man.
Oh no!
Straight to infantry.
Make your mind up later, huh?
Yeah, he tell me, yeah, man, you can decide later on, after basic training, they'll give you another chance. I was like, he got me.
That's how they get us, man.
Because we had, like me and Shaw, we always talk about it. Our dad, he wasn't in the home, but he was in our life.
Yeah.
So by me being the oldest, I had to kind of grow up kind of quick, kind of fast or whatever. So when I got with the recruiter, I didn't have nobody to guide me left or right. So I'm putting my trust in this guy. Like, yeah, man, I'm in basic training. I'm like, telling my buddies, like, yeah, man, right after basic training, man, I get to go to supply either motor T. I'm gonna be watching y'all humping. Right. And next thing you know, they end up watching me with the pack. Right. That's what Shaw they learned that from me because I said, man, I said, don't make sure you sign whatever you want to go in on. Don't let the recruiter get you.
I learned from Crash.
Crash brought me well. I got a quote. I need about 15 men. Got him.
Yeah. Got him. So
before Amanda came on to speak today, have you gentlemen heard about Lupus? You got any?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
don't know anybody with it, but I heard of it.
Is there a cause? Go ahead.
Is it? And I was going to ask her or ask you. Is it like I'm pretty sure from what she was describing. Is it painful? You go through like moments, like wake up daily or something like that, or with pain or something, or
it's a chronic.
Yeah. I haven't been pain free for about 20 years.
Wow.
Like just constant pain for 20 years. So I don't know what it's like to be pain free. I actually forgot. And I'm just so used to the pain. My tolerance is super high.
Yes, it is.
Wow. By the way, real quick, not to change the subject, but I used to be stationed in 29 Palms.
Okay. I didn't make it out there, but I heard about it. I heard the story.
You don't want to go there.
I'll be out there with tomorrow.
My ex-husband's a Marine. He was, what was he? He was a tanker.
Okay.
And thanks to him, we got stationed there. It was like either Pendleton or 29 Palms, and we got stationed.
I always heard them calling it 29 stomps, and I didn't know
it's out there.
out there.
Yeah.
I'm
there.
going in tomorrow morning.
Look up Lake Bendini.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Look up Lake Bendini. They would make him run PT every morning. It's like 110 degrees out, right by a lake of basically shit from the barracks, like just straight from the barracks.
Wow.
I was like, why?
Right.
Why?
It's for your country, girl. It's for your country. Right. They tell you all the time, your country.
Yeah. But I do miss TRICARE. TRICARE, it was great healthcare for me. And the naval doctors there, they were the ones that actually found a good treatment plan for my lupus. So shout out to them, because the civilian doctors, they didn't know what they were doing. So yeah.
Yeah, them degrees in the cracker box.
Thank you.
University oops. That's what it is.
Right.
Gary, before we move forward, Gary, introduce yourself, man. I know you've been here hanging out, listening to all the conversations, man.
Oh, I'm loving it, man. You know, I'm a listener.
Yeah,
you know, I'm loving to hear all you young folks talk that good stuff and bring back memories. I like the positive gestures and attitudes. I mean, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. You know, I was born in Indiana, basically, and my mom, rest her soul, Bess Taylor. She's a design. You know, she designed clothes, and we moved to Detroit because a friend of hers, Harvey Fuqua, if you ever heard of that name, he discovered Marvin Gaye. He had a group called Harvey and the Moonglows. He was married to Gwendolyn Gordy. So we shared the same birthday, even though my mom and him were good friends. He had my mom making clothes for the Spinners, the main ingredients, Tavares, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, you name it. My mom, you know, she did it. And so Harvey, since we shared the same birthday, I was 9 running around Detroit, and a guy named Gregory Peterson, one of our neighbors, he was a hustler. So he had me out there shoveling people's snow out the driveway, carrying people's groceries when it was safe, because as you know, ain't nobody letting you carry their groceries in our world today.
Not today.
Right. Yeah.
And, I mean, the police, even in the snow, when me and my mom pushing the grocery cart to the house, they had stopped and pick us up and give us a ride home. That's how cool, you know, and it wasn't the best neighborhood either, but we survived it. So when Motown moved out here in 70, Harvey had my mom move us all out to LA, to Hollywood in 72.
Wow.
So that was interesting to come to Hollywood, because Harvey asked me, he was on the 9th floor at the RCA building on Sunset. He said, Gary, what you want for your birthday? You want a record deal or you want money? And I'm like, I'm like,
a record deal.
Money.
I'm singing.
You know, he could have made me a star, because a lot of people, see, you hear that stuff called industry plant. I don't believe in that, because if somebody in the industry believes in you and they see a dollar sign in you, they know how to place you in the industry where you can make money, they can make money, and everybody can be happy. So that industry plant stuff, I don't go for it. And but I was fortunate enough to be out here. And after high school, I left high school 2 credits short and joined the Army. I went into the engineers. I went to Fort Leonard Wood for training.
Fort Living in the
Woods.
Fort Lost in the Woods.
Lost and living in the woods.
Living in the woods.
So that experience alone in basic training, you know, one particular task, I was scared to get up on that pole you climb and go across the rope.
Oh yeah.
So we went to the rifle range, and I was the guide on. I'm carrying the flag and all these soldiers behind me, but I didn't know it. I had pneumonia.
Oh wow.
So it's a truck that follows us, as you all know, in basic training. Yeah. If you get on that truck running at 10 miles to the range, you're going to have to do some major push-ups when you get to the facility. So I got to the facility. I ended up not getting on the truck, but I was the last person to go in the gate. I qualified marksman at 49 shots out of the 50 and woke up in the hospital with pneumonia.
Wow.
Now, I got lost time there because my sister and we were looking for my records on the hospital that I was in on Fort Leonard Wood property. And it's been 4 years and they haven't sent me any of those records. But to move on, I ended up going to Germany, Darmstadt, West Germany, near Frankfurt. I ended up, combat engineer. I ended up working, the captain liked me, so he wanted me to drive, and I didn't know how to drive. So a brother that was a sergeant in the office, he looked at me and said, okay. He took me out in a Jeep, and I tore up the gears
Wow.
But he taught me how to drive. I ended up driving for the major, and his name was Major Ellis, but he likes to consider himself Little Caesar. So everywhere he went, I was right there. Terrain walks, you name, all over Europe with the top brass.
Wow.
And to jump a little bit further, you know, I used to go out to the clubs there. You know, I used to go by myself, walking through those parks to get, you know, Germany is kind of weird if you've been there. And so, yeah, I had a good experience in doing that. Then the Polizei one time, walking back through the neighborhood, because Darmstadt is considered like a Beverly Hills. So I'm a black man, I'm dressed real nice, and I'm walking back to the place, to the barracks, and the Polizei pull up on me as soon as I get in the gate. And then the gatekeeper, he called the captain. A few guys came out with their rifles, and the Polizei saying, well, this guy's tearing up post signs. Somebody reported him tearing up signs, and I don't do anything like that. But my unit had my back because the captain came out and they had their rifles ready against the Polizei. And I used to have a lot of respect for the Polizei because they do a lot of training more than regular police, you know, 5 years of training to be a Polizei. But after that, you know, I went on to Fort Lewis, Washington, and I was a member of the Martin Luther King Singers. I sung baritone. I joined the choir in church because I was in church. And I had a gentleman, I'm not going to say his race or anything, but he was my platoon leader, and he used to give me slack all the time. And this is a little bit about karma now. And I used to tell the captain, and you know, you can't jump and you got to go through the chain of command. But I went to the captain and said, hey man, you know, he's drinking on duty and da 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 da. And for a punishment, actually they gave me his job because he went home on vacation, and he was drunk, and he ran into a fence, and the pole went in his eye and put his eye out, and he couldn't come back to the military. So they gave me his job. He was an E6 communication specialist. So the captain assigned me to take that over. So I ended up, I'm young, I signed for $400,000 worth of commo equipment. Now I'm missing mics, I'm missing wires, I'm missing everything. But since I was well liked, because I was one of those guys who were cool with the maintenance, everybody, they gave me a Jeep, and they sent me out in the woods in Fort Lewis, and I was collecting hundreds of miles of commo wire with that Jeep, hundreds of miles. Now, the reason I'm telling that part of the story, because, you know, I believe in crypto creatures, and I'm listening to a story last year that same Fort Lewis in Washington State, Mount St. Helens erupted. We were practicing for Desert Storm and Mount St. Helens volcano dust. We were out there 30 days at a time.
Wow.
So a lot of my medical problems come from being in that dust, that volcano dust.
Wow.
The cancer. But people don't know that. Because as you know, chemicals are in that volcano ash.
Yes.
And
there it is.
so a plane went down with like maybe 17 to 20 something people on it on Fort Lewis property in the woods. And that plane went down, the wreckage, when time they got to the wreckage, the bodies were torn apart, ripped apart, not from the crash, from Bigfoot type creatures, they're saying. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you say Bigfoot, but you gotta, if you understand God, you understand God didn't start and stop with us. So it's a lot of crypto creatures. It's a lot of things we don't know about. Matter of fact, it's too many things we don't know about that we're woke. Matter of fact, if you see the chemtrail planes flying over and you think that's chemicals that they're putting on us and poisoning us, no, it's blocking the sun because our frequencies are now open to receive the gift to allow us to be whoever we want to be and communicate on another level. So man is trying to block that. That's that chemtrail. So if you're seeing the sun getting blocked, and it's affecting our crops, that's why we got a lot of GMO. See, and having all these cancers and stuff, you got to be careful with your food because that GMO, they don't allow that in Europe from America.
It will trigger it. It will trigger it.
Exactly.
They don't allow in Germany, they don't allow it in Europe either. Nowhere Eastern Europe, they don't allow it at all.
Exactly. So to make a quick story, you know, I ended up, for 30 years, I've had this ideal of a movie. Harvey did give me a deal with a rap group, the Gumby Boys at Capitol Records. I was one of the first, black man to have a rap group on Capitol Records, the Gumby Boys. We changed our name to Uncontrollable Urge. I found them in a skating ring out here in the valley, and they were sliding around in bikini underwear, and the girls was going crazy. And I'm like, these fools need to be. They need to be on TV.
What year was that?
Oh no, that was in the early '80s.
Had to be the '80s. That's like a Venice Beach game.
Right. But see, I didn't know nothing about the record business. Ooh, so I ended up coaching football at Sherman Oaks Park in Encino Park, and Denzel's son. I coached him. I coached Ice Cube's son. He was out there, and I had a script. Me and some partners had written, and Denzel was cool. He was like, "Oh, Gary, man, when you ready, just give it to me." So we were at Granada Hills one. I know I'm skipping over a lot, but it's a fun story. But Denzel and I were walking out of Granada Hills High after a game. And he said, "What you got? What you got?" And see what I'm saying by this, I'm letting you know he's a brother, and Harvey Fuqua, these guys from the Motown era and other eras back there, they were giving brothers a chance. If they had talent, you can present it. So Denzel said, "What you got?" So as I'm handing him the package, two girls come screaming in the parking lot for Denzel. He looked at me and said, "Gary, get it to my agent." That was like a hit in my stomach.
Oh man!
And same thing with Damian Wayans. When I worked for the Prince. I drove. See, I'm a driver at best in the military. I drove the Jeep, as I told you. I drove for the second in command of Europe when I was over there. So I have my driving. Dre know me because we've been together. He knows that we drove work for Playboy. Yeah. So I drove for Hugh Hefner, The Girls Next Door. I was on that TV show. Yep. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm with the Prince of Gabon. His father was the king of Gabon. His grandfather is the president of Congo, the Brazzaville side.
Yeah, Congo.
So I'm with his security team. I'm driving the Prince around. I drove him to high school for 4 years here out in Sherman Oaks. He went to Buckley. He went on to Harvard. But at that time, the cancer caught up with me for the kidney cancer. I was on dialysis for 9 years as driving for this young man. His grandmother, the queen, she was here in Bel Air with him. So he's the real Prince of Bel Air, in other words, the real Prince. So when he was at school, I'm running his grandmama to Costco to buy stuff for her hotel that's in Congo. And I took her to church. We always was in church. I mean, with her, and so we had a good experience there. But other people were concerned with Gary driving for Junior, and he's on dialysis. And I had to tell her, I said, Mommy Claire is her name. I said, Mommy Claire, I don't drive with my kidney. I drive with my brain. So she said,
I remember the story too. We lived together.
You remember that, huh?
Wow.
Roommates.
So I went on to have a successful trip there, and then I said, okay, it's time for me to downsize. Instead of going to Harvard with Junior, I stayed here. And I downsized and said, okay, now it's time to fight for my life. Because I could have kept making that money for another 5 years, and then poof, I would have been gone.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then I didn't want to leave my son alone. So Dre know the story. So boom, that's how I ended up working with Dre and James Toney. When Dre was bodyguard for James Toney, he pulled me in, and he gave me a place to live so me and my son can kick it, because I had my son more than his mom. And so it was me, Dre, and my son, and a cool cat named Kato. So we were doing good. And how it works with your mind, and it's an interesting part of this, what I'm going to say, is I had an old beat-up car. You remember that red car I had?
I remember that.
Yeah, that little toy. I don't know what it was, but it was breaking down all the time. But when Dre said, Gary, I got this place over here. You can come and have this place. And I said, okay. I looked at the place and I said, oh, there's a limousine company right around the corner. I can walk to work. I put that in my mind. And boom, I moved in with Dre. My car broke down. I walked down the street. The Russians own this place. The Russian mafia.
Give my mom, gave a job.
Right. They hired me on the spot.
On the spot.
And then that's how I got the job with the Prince, because they had the contract.
Oh my God!
The Gambino family had the contract too with the Russians.
Gary, hold on.
I work for the Russian mob. I work for the mob too. I read for the mob.
You hear this, North Carolina? You hear this?
I hear it.
Is this the West Side?
Right. So I was caught between the Gambino family and the Russian mafia. A guy, and I always want, every time I go to the office to pick up the car around the corner from the house, I was always nervous about, man, this guy, the boss gonna come in here and put a gun in this guy's throat. Sure enough, one day I go in the office and Demetrius came in from New York, one of the top Russian mobs.
Man.
Sure enough, he had the guy in the office with a gun in his mouth. He pulled me outside and said, "Hey, I understand you work for Playboy, and Can you introduce me to some girls?" And I'm like, "You're the Russian mafia. You got, he's
All
got
the girls
women
you
everywhere."
want.
Yeah,
Right. Gary, thank you.
But we could do another show.
Yeah, we can do another show on that one. That's gonna be the midnight hour. I wanna before we get out of here, I want to spend these last 20 minutes or so around the Men Talk, and Amanda, I'm thankful. I'm glad you stayed around because I want your input from a woman's perspective. I know you.
Yes.
I don't want you to speak for all women, but maybe from your perspective of the Men Talk, right? Because for me, what I'm learning as I've done like 15 years of just my own healing process, right? Men, we are responsible. We are the ones biblically responsible for our families. We are the foundation. We're not the roof. We're the foundation of the family, right? And if you understand the foundation of the family, I tell men, have you ever gone home and said, "Thank you, foundation, for holding up the house"? Like we discount the foundation of that home, but what happens if that foundation is cracked? That whole house can be condemned, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how much is beautiful it is. For the Men Talk that you gentlemen do, and I've listened to some of your episodes, and Amanda, for you, Amanda, for a male from a woman to a male, what is it? The most important thing for you looking for that person? Is it their character? Is it with the stuff? Like what is the? We know that the eyes, of course, is the first thing we see, the beauty. But past that, once you get past all that, what are the things that, from your view, a woman looks for?
She's smiling.
In a male.
Well, it's refreshing to be asked that because, I'm a 35-year-old woman that's been single ever since my divorce, and reading the Bible has helped me keep my standards high for what I look for in a man. And also the try and error. I've dated a lot of men in the past that looking back now, I've noticed they were broken men, and they just were very emotionally immature. Like whenever we'd have a disagreement or argument, I would always remind them, like, look, it's you and I versus the problem, not me versus you. But they automatically would feel attacked. They would abandon me, just walk out on me. I've been a stepmom, and I got burnt out because I learned quickly from that experience, you never pour out of an empty cup. So I learned from all of those experiences that, like, now I know at 35 years old that I need to, like in the Bible, it says the partner you should choose is someone you can go to war with. And I think nowadays it's very hard to date because masculinity is very rare now. And I've been hit on with guys with nail polish and they act very feminine, and I'm very traditional. I was raised to be feminine. I was raised to cook and clean and take care of the husband, take care of the kids, and I've noticed that's been vanishing as well with women. So it's both sides. It's not just one side. And I think masculinity is lacking because we don't have a lot of strong male role models that are teaching young men, this is how you treat a woman, and this is how you get through issues and adversity, and because that's why they're acting so emotional. Like, the basketball players I coach, if they get a call that doesn't go their way or a confrontation in the game, they just freak out and fall apart. They don't stay focused, and they don't have those tools to problem solve. They don't have any resilience. They don't know how to, problem solve on their own and how to hold on to their integrity. And it's really sad because that's lacking now. And as a woman, that's just the bare minimum. Just a man that can be masculine. He can keep his word. He can be stable and protect me, and he can open the door for me, like just stuff like that. But it's sad because men don't even know how to talk to me as a woman. Like the stuff they say to me, it's just like who do you think I am? Like, why are you talking to me like that? And it's just sad. But then I also look at young women and I'm just like, why are you dressing like that? You know, like, why are you so desperate for attention? And then they're the same women that go and complain there's no good men, but you're sitting there and you're bragging about how you use men for their money. Yeah. So it's just sad. Both sides are ruining the dating pool. And I'm a firm believer on the tradition of a man and a woman being married, and like the man being the provider and the protector, and the woman, you know, taking care of the home and bringing him peace. But all I see now is young women just, they're yelling, they're acting so, like they're acting masculine, you know? So it's like, it's just kind of embarrassing, you know? And yeah, so I see both sides.
Like the tables have turned. The women act masculine, and the men act feminine. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. The new men purses they wearing. The new men purses.
Yeah, and you know that's what me and my brother, we kind of touch on stuff like that a lot because you know we see it, or some guys want us to talk about it, but and a lot of times too, and I know my brother, he gonna tap in on that too. Like what we see is, I know I do around my area, you know, a lot of times we try to talk to the people, is that a lot of the women, they're raising the boys just like what you was talking about. And I've seen some instances where guys have came in to try to actually help raise their boys, whether it be stepdads or it can be the blood dad or whatever, however you want to use it. And the parent, the mom, will step in between the dad to keep from disciplining him.
Right.
And so they're raising these boys like the way they're raising them. This is what they're getting. You know, this was out there now.
Yeah. I personally look at it like this. I think the roles have reversed. Like it's normally God, the man, and the woman. Now it's God, the woman, and the man. The roles are reversed, and the women have taken the spot of the man, and the man has fell back into the woman's spot. Whenever you mess up that order, you're gonna have what you have, and what you have now is a bunch of, you know, a lot of women that are what they say independent, and that's where it's coming from. Instead of them just being submissive to the man, I mean, you're not gonna find a perfect man. It's not gonna happen. Nor you're gonna find a perfect woman. So if you have a piece of a man that's doing decent, he's protecting you, like she says, protecting how to talk to you. He's providing. Treat him like he's the man, like he's the head. Don't belittle him just because you make $10,000 more than him. You know, so I just think the roles have been reversed.
And there's some of the cases too. There's some cases like what you're saying. Like sometimes you can have women just because they make more than their husband, they'll, you know, kind of push them to the side or whatever. And also like y'all just said too, you know, with the woman is stepping in front of the man, you know, and God ain't gonna bless that.
Yeah, that's
right. You know, he's not gonna bless that. You know, like she's stepping in front of the man, and you know, and doing what a man should be doing. You know, so and you know, it's tough out there. So we still work on it, and we still try to tap in with guys and talk to guys about it. But it, like you said though, Amanda, it is tough because, like I said, you got the social media. You got a guy right now, he might be like, he might look at you and say, oh, you nice looking. He talking to you, and then as soon as he get off the line with you, he looking at somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So see, back in the day, we didn't have to do that. We had to go out, you know, and in person.
Meet the father and everything.
That's how I used to date too. And I also noticed that society, like modern society, treats men very badly now. The whole like feminist movement, like we don't need a man. It's like we do need men. Like look at the place I live in. This was built by men, you know, and like having masculinity is necessary for this world to turn, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Men have a role and women have a role, and it's needed, both of them.
And what women have to understand too is that when you step into that role as the man,
Mm-hmm.
You got to take those shots as the man.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You got to take those hits.
Yeah.
If you want to be out front, you're gonna get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want that.
You know, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't
Let
want
the
that.
man be the man, and you know, a good man
Right.
anyway. And put it that way.
And that's what we tell women. We tell women sometimes too to tap in, like he said earlier about the submissiveness. A lot of them, when you tell them to be submissive to your man or your husband, significant other, whatever, they take that as get in there and cook my food or whatever. They take it, they take it to heart, but it's not. That's not the way. That's not submissive. You know, you just, you know, you working together with your husband. It's like the way as you should, as a helpmate. You know, but when you say submissive, you need to be a submissive woman. Hey, it sometimes women look like you threw some salt in their face. You know, but it don't mean that when they say, you know, women should be submissive to their man, it don't mean that you a slave or something.
Slave, yeah.
It don't mean that.
Yeah. Well, I can vouch for myself. I have been a great, incredible queen. Everywhere I go, she catered to me, and I catered to her. And I call her my alpha road dog. But she's 5'1" truck driver, and she's a builder in construction. So she know her place as the alpha female. And if I'm the go getter, she do what she got to do. Why you call it NBA? You call it NBA OF. It's NBA for OnlyFans.
But
they call it that.
You mentioned something, my brother, about the men being in front and taking the hit, right?
Yeah.
And I've for myself, as I've been, you know, working out for Ron, when I had the conversation about the foundation of the house, and the male being the foundation of the family, my conversation is what's my ingredients? Right. So if you look at the foundation, it's concrete, rebarb, it's gravel, it's stone, it's formwork, you know, it's anchor and bolts, moisture barrier. Like all these things are in the ground of that holds this house up.
Yeah.
My conversation to men today is, well, what's your ingredients?
Yeah.
Is it shame, embarrassment, disappointment, upset, frustration?
Yeah.
All mixed with happiness, and like we got to figure out as men, what is that for?
What is it? Yeah.
Because
whether it be trust or whatever, honor.
And so you said that makes me think about these conversations moving forward. What's your ingredients as a man? Like what are you made of? Not what you do, but who are you as your character? And a lot of times it's mixed.
I would say a little shame is in there too. And the reason why I say that is because like a lot of guys like that's coming up now, they're afraid to be out front and take the mantle. Like even like being Shaw, you know, we both go to church. So, you know, you got guys, you know, we leaders in the church, our you know, respective churches or whatever. And, you know, we take the lead, you know, whatever we need to do or whatever. You know, you got a lot of guys who they just don't take the lead no more. It's just like they want to sit in the background.
Yeah.
You know, so
Exactly.
I see it every day. That's turn off for a woman when a man can't hold his own.
Right.
Well, the good news is there's somebody out there for everybody because there's too many of us.
Yeah.
And if you ain't finding it, you when you go around the world, you know, most of us been all over the world.
Yeah.
You know how people are different in other countries. And it's amazing what we have available. I got to the point where I said, hey, I'm just gonna get me 2 robots from Japan next year. But then I had a nightmare that I programmed them wrong and they beat the crap out of me. So I'm scared of that part now.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
That was a good
point. All about the programming. Let me tell you all about the programming.
All about the programming.
This is the beauty of today's show because again, why Amanda's here, and when you two brothers hit me up about the show, imagine this is the ingredients of some of us. I feel like I don't have a right to exist. I feel like I don't have now. Imagine that's part of your ingredients. Imagine I bother people just by being alive. Imagine I wish I'd never been born. Imagine an ingredients of I'm a burden. I feel invisible. I'm nothing. I don't matter. I will never be enough. I'm all alone in this world. How can you have a relationship?
You can't.
With those kind of things And that's what is in the background. It's not even in the foreground in your conscious.
Right.
I'm talking about in the subconscious mind of the person that you're living from that silently.
Yeah.
How can we?
You can't.
Well, they say that we were asked to have the parents that we have. We were asked at birth, you know, we chose our parents. And we got to remember, and we're now learning, you know, burying people 6 feet. When you bury a loved one in that casket, that dissolves. The body dissolves. It's like you burying, you putting seeds in to grow. You're putting that body back into this earth, and it's going to bloom again. And it's in a recycle of being reborn here on earth without the memory of where you've been in the past. Now, if you get cremated, that's another story, because your soul, from what I'm understanding, your soul is free now, and you can go anywhere you want to go. But if you get buried in the ground, you're replanting yourself to grow here again, and you're stuck. And a lot of people don't understand that, but a lot of people are stuck here on this earth because they're reborn here, you know, reincarnated, what you call it, but you don't remember. You don't remember your past lives. But once you break that cycle, then you know, hey, I'm free, because God has given us the capability, that the spiritual beings that we are, we're part of the universe. And we can go anywhere in this universe when we leave here. And this is not the best place, but we got to make it the best place while we're here. And you can't be afraid of death, because death, they say, from what I'm understanding, because, you know, when I was in surgery and from emergencies, and I figured out, you know, that white light they talk about, you see, I'm sitting there, and when the doctors came in and cut them lights on, them surgical lights, and I'm thinking, I'm dying right now. And I'm like, man, there's the light. That's the surgical lights. Ain't no white lights. I'm serious.
Hey, everything that you said, there's people that believe all those different things, right?
Yeah.
But what my brother said about the shame is, I just turned 55 in March. At 54, I discovered for 52 years I've been living in avoiding shame, embarrassment, and disappointment. Wow. And that was from a 2-year-old child decision toward my mother before I really had language.
Gotcha.
Right? And so when you understand that, and when you understand brain science, and you understand how the brain functions, when you put those pieces together, man, it is amazing how powerful our mind is.
Yeah.
Right. And the work that you've got to do to unravel, as he's saying, for me, unravel all the decisions that you made up about these conversations.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's a natural survival state of mind that we make up the decision from our childhood. Right. That the brain creates these conversations already.
Right.
And if you attach to one of those, you spend your life renewing your heart trying to get free from those things, right?
That's right.
And that's the part for me, that coming back to church, it's like that's the work is, you got to renew your mind. What principles, what tools, what conversations are you using that you believe in, that you trust,
right,
to unravel those? Because at 54, man, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. 52 years, and I have proof. I have evidence. I got body sensations. Like, I got memories, and all of it. I won't say all of it, but more than 70% of it was made up. Made up, until I found something like the word to challenge those thoughts up against those stories.
Right. And like you said, man, it's a like, back to Amanda, you know, it's a multitude of things, but I always tell people, like the guys, like she said, she was, you know, I guess talking to or dealing with or whatever, you know, and it's not bashing Women's Day or whatever, nothing like that, but majority of the women now are raising boys, young boys, and they're raising young men. The men that they are raising, they are not the men that they want to date themselves.
Exactly.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So right now like that, yes.
Yeah.
But
like
see,
bank has helped.
Right.
And like I'm saying, and I'm gonna say it in my way before we end this show. The Bible speaks of of a man and a woman being by yourself. God wants us to be by ourselves first, to work on ourselves.
Exactly.
I don't know why people rush into relationships.
Singleness.
Oh my God! I used to run a nightclub. All you hear line, I'm gonna find me a baller. And I know I would tell them, I'd be walking down the line in the nightclub. I say, so you gonna follow baller, huh? I say, I guarantee you that baller be a one-shot caller tonight. Right? Next week you're back here mad. That motherfucker was this and that, blank. Right. I said, you just said you're gonna find a baller. Well, I tell you, NBA stands for OnlyFans. So now everybody get OnlyFans accounts now, trying to catch these dudes. And God's telling you to wait, because if you work on yourself and get successful, He's gonna see that perfect mate. Two broken yokes is not gonna work.
No,
right.
That's why I tell people, don't get a relationship until you're gonna have sex. Me and my girl, I'm being real with you. We're not having no intercourse at all. We're not married. I'm not married to you. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
that's not right. If you want to go run your butt on somewhere, go right ahead.
Right.
I'm not gonna hold you back. God bless you. And I'm gonna get my blessings. So, and Gary know I am. I don't do that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 women, man. I can't do all that. I can't balance my own business and just try to balance 6, 4 women. Right? I'm not doing that part. You know, call you the wrong name. But it's on my car, slicing my tires. I got time for that.
No.
Dre is a genuine man. This brother is. He's a guy that everybody loves here, everywhere. You know. So Dre's the guy.
I appreciate that, man. I try to be God gave me that to me. I died at birth. My mom died giving birth to me. We both came back 22 minutes later. It's in my book. Well, I told Gary needs to write a book because I know Farron should have about 4 or 5 bestsellers by now. But we need to write a book, and Amanda, you definitely need to write a book.
Everyone tells me that. Everyone tells me that.
CPT will make you. I wrote my book, 2 of them.
Yeah, for real.
Be real.
I do. Well, I do have a blog.
Let the
I have a blog I wrote on, but
you do what you do because God tell you our stories are who we are as human beings. And we can't help them out with our stories. Something matter with us as people. I tell you all the time.
Well, your testimony is important. The testimony is important when you get it. Thank you.
That's how I end my day. So I bless you.
Appreciate you all, man. I appreciate everybody. This was exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Amanda, what do you want to say before we get out of here? What do you want to? Anything you want to
don't have me crying. Don't have me crying now. I'm crying. I'm good.
I actually did almost cry when you, Farron, opened up about the shame and like you feel like you don't deserve to be here. Oh, wow. That actually almost made me cry because and then like I instantly wanted to like nurture you.
Me too.
You know, that's just how I am. Actually, if I see someone like if I just see someone, you know, in pain or something, I just feel naturally like, oh, I need to help them, you know. And I wanted to ask you, men, since I'm the minority here, as a woman, what can I do to help support men with their mental health and be there for them? I think it's important for me to know, especially as a coach.
Respect. My mind's respect, though. That's one for me.
Yeah.
On a health tip for everybody, because I dealt with hypertension, and that's a silent killer. That took my kidney that I got the cancer from, all the things I told you in the military. But I could have saved my kidney, but I had to go through what I had to go through. I was on dialysis for 9 years because my blood type is O positive. And so it's hard to find a donor. But the bottom line is, once I got my kidney, I got a whole new life. So if you really want to, I mean, I told you a little bit about me, but I've actually created a franchise, a superhero franchise, which you'll be hearing about shortly. And the first one is Keepers of Gaia. And we're going to be dealing with Mother Gaia, Earth, and saving humanity and getting people to love and come together. That's the first one. Then the Kingdom of Gaia, and then the Keeper. And I got some serious characters, so you're going to laugh. But I got Shaq coming in as Blackfoot. I got Bill Bellamy. He told me I was given the part of Wolfman Black to Kevin Hart because my buddy is close to Kevin Hart. But when I told Bill Bellamy about it, he said, gee, that's Wakanda on steroids. He said, give me Wolfman Black because Shaq is his cousin.
Yeah. His cousin.
So, I mean, so I got a cast of superheroes that we're about to put out. And so that's what I've been doing lately is creating what I started 30 years ago. And now it's coming to par now. Yeah. So
Thank you.
I look forward to sharing more about that with you all. But God is good. Just keep the positive energy
all the time,
and you will get what you want out of this life.
Yeah. You know, Amanda, you said, you know, for men, it's tough because some of those things are layered, right?
Yeah.
And so the best thing that I've learned so far for myself is we say that we are good listeners, but are we really? Do we listen to react and to respond? And I have 3 daughters, so I tell my daughters, you got to ask more questions.
Yeah.
You got to listen to what they say to you, and give that back to them of what they said to see if that's what they're really trying to say. Because a lot of times we don't say what we're dealing with. We use words to describe life. And if I'm struggling, I could be struggling for something that you might have some resources to help me fix. But if I just say I'm struggling, then I'm not telling you what it is, and so I don't get a chance to say that. But because why? As men, we suffer in silence, and we don't want to be judged, right? And you finding your partner, it's like, oh shoot, if I tell you my deepest secrets, are you going to slander my name? Are you going to go tell my? And so, men have a lot of things that we deal with that we don't know how to language or share because of the fear of the repercussions of being open and vulnerable. So a lot of times that respect could just be having a conversation.
Right.
So you said that this is what you're dealing with. You know, why did you use the word scared or struggle? Like, what's the struggle? Like, so hopefully that opened up that person to have the space to say, oh, well, this is what I'm dealing with. But a lot of times we describing it. By the time we say so, we're describing it, and it's like, well, this is a description. I can't help you if you don't say what it is.
Right.
And a lot of times it's not even a real thing because our minds is making up these stories.
I'm a nurturer, like she said. She said she wanted to nurture you earlier. That'll help.
Right.
That helps too, because a lot of women they don't think that men like we like to be nurtured too, even though we may not show it.
Right.
But we like to be pat on the back, rubbed on the head or whatever. And talk to like Farron said on a respectful way or whatever. We like that too, but like he said, we got layers where we gonna be hard, but once you got a woman that's gonna nurture them like that and talk to them in a respectful manner, they'll kind of
open up and be all right.
They'll open up.
I would say listen. The longer you listen to a person, the more they'll tell you who they are.
Right.
That's right.
So you just sit and listen. They'll tell you exactly what's going on. They can't help it. As you think about it, like us on this platform right here tonight, everybody had a story.
Yeah.
If you let them talk, they'll talk and talk and talk. And the longer you listen, just listen. All you gotta do is just let them empty out, and then you'll know how to navigate.
Right.
Before they talk, then you know how to sidestep. Well, I know this isn't a spot I might need to stay away from. You just like you said, you nurture them along the way, but just listen. That's it. It definitely will. They definitely will tell you who they are. Anybody.
That's the benefit. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I thank y'all for hanging out for 1 hour and 37 minutes. So I got to get out of here. There's a show next up after here. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Your show's on Fridays.
Yeah, at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So that's 3 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yep.
Yeah, real quick, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Inviting us on, man. And we said, y'all, we've been waiting about 2-3 months now.
About 4 months, going on 4 months.
And we just kind of still getting on our own.
Yeah.
So we gonna visit. Try to tap in with other people. We just kind of been trying to figure this thing out. Ourselves.
For sure.
So we appreciate y'all. We are your first invite, or you are our first invite, or however
whatever way you want to look at it. Like I said, a lot of times I work around my brother's schedule, because like I said, he get up Eastern time, he got to get up at 2:45 in the morning. So we'll be checking out here in a couple of minutes so he can get ready to go to sleep.
All right.
So a pleasure, man, to meet all of you.
We appreciate y'all.
Take care.
It's so nice meeting you.
Yeah, I
I'll be
appreciate it.
reaching out to you guys.
Much love. Much love.
I have some people I can send your way. So
appreciate it.
yeah, it's so
Appreciate
nice meeting you guys.
All right.
All right. Nice meeting y'all too.
Thank you. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
we see y'all.
All right, we're gonna get out of here. This is the Farron Dozier Show on MB Radio, Trench Talk Edition, Live Tour Sports, FarronD.com. If you want more information to be a guest, shout us out. What's the count? Appreciate y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.